Good evening or afternoon or good morning, depending on when you're watching this video. Welcome to the great follow-up video of 2024. I've been excited to create this video now for a few years. It's a consequence of a video I created back in 2020, a video I created about this. This is the Morin Chapel, or Chapelle Morin. It's located in Valois, along Valois Bay, and it's on the grounds of the Bayview. Those of you who live in this area, you'll be very familiar with what that is and probably where that is. It was one of the first historical videos that I did about this area, this part of Montreal, the West Island, and it was an amazing amount of fun. There was three things that happened really as a consequence of this video. Besides, reaching out to a lot of people and a lot of people messaging me about how they enjoyed the video, which was incredible, but three things really stood out. Well, four, but the fourth is going to happen a little later on. The first was I did an episode of Matt TV where we went back to the chapel and I kind of retold the story a little bit. That was fun. Did it in French. So if you want to hear me in French, I can put the link somewhere down here. The second one was that I did an article in the Gazette, or the Gazette did an article on the video and me. That was great to see the chapel big in color in the newspaper. And the third one was that I got contacted by descendants of the guy who built the chapel, Edmond Morin, the Morin Chapel. One of his descendants, his great-grandchild, who is now a grandfather himself, reached out to me, and he agreed to talk. So we had a long conversation. We got a little bit deeper into the family. He actually has pictures of Edmond Morin and of the house that the Bayview replaced, which was fantastic. And I'm going to share all that with you now. So it was a phone call. So take this as like kind of like an old-timey kind of radio show or a new-timey podcast, depending on your age here. If you're 150 listening to this or if you're in your 30s. So here's my conversation with Gerald Riley about the cute white chapel in Valois.
Hello.
How you doing? Jason here.
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Is this a good time?
It is a good time.
Oh, great. So tell me, do you remember seeing the video that I had produced? Was it by accident or?
About the chapel?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's that story? How did you see it? Did someone show it to you? And what was your reaction?
Well, I mean, we were just happy to see it out there. I think Melissa, who's in DDO, my daughter, she's the one who sent me the link, and I said, oh, great, because I had taken the children there. They knew about it. I had made it a point to bring them all out there and show them this was part of their grandmother's history, No, I thought it was great. I mean, for me, it was always, all the cousins who are certainly the ones that are my age. I don't know about the younger ones because I can never remember if it's 33 or 34 cousins on that side, something like that. The older ones, we all knew about this chapel. Well, most of us anyways. I know that when I posted it, some were surprised, but I think most of them were the younger ones. And if they hadn't seen it, they had heard the story, So, there's a sense of pride in that, too, to know that, this thing is still standing today. It's part of the history of the region.
I was looking through my archives, and I found an article. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's an article they did. So when the Lakeshore News turned into the Lakeshore News and Chronicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
They started to have sections. That's when they first put at the bottom right corner of the front page, they put this section, like they used to have in newspapers. And one section was a church section, actually.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah, back when there was a lot to talk about, I guess.
I was going to say times have changed. Yeah,
I know. So in that, they did a special on the chapel. But you know what's interesting is they called it the Morin Chapel, and I'm just wondering, like that wouldn't have been an official name, you think, or did they just call it
But
that?
I don't think so. From what I know, I think it was just called that because Monsieur Morin built it. I think that is what I surmise from this. I don't know that it actually had an official name. That's a good question. Everybody in the family has always known it as La Chapelle Morin. You know.
Oh, really? Like, yeah, because
Yeah.
then after that article, I think it was put into a little document, a little book in Point Claire, and that's it. It was just frozen in time at that point. Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah, so I figure, I mean, I've always known it as that. I don't know if it had a, because often little chapels could be Notre Dame de la whatever or Our Lady of, who knows.
Did you have a chance to ever did you have an interest in history when your grandfather was still around?
Yes. So usually Sunday Mass, I would stop over at my grandparents' house and, around lunchtime, just sit around and talk with my grandfather and grandmother alone because there was no other cousins there, and just ask them about my parents and them and how things were. So yeah, I would say I may have been 9 or 10 at the time. 9, 10, 11, I guess. And so those things interested me even then.
And these are stories that you've retained even to today?
Yeah. But mainly the fact that they had tons of money, the fact that they lost all the money. So that would be Edmond's grandchildren. So he died in 23. I mean, you can imagine at that time, I mean, the pandemic hit in 18. He was, I think, 56 at that time, if I'm not mistaken. And he had all these kids and their kids, and there was like tons of money to go around, So, and then they lost it all after the crash. So these are stories that we've all heard.
Did you ever find out where the source of the money was coming from?
Yeah, the money was from that business, the
poultry
business, and they would use the feathers to make pillows and mattresses, which was what the filler was in those days. I also heard that there was 3 properties that they owned, like side by side. So there was Edmond's property, and 2 of his children, or 2 of his brothers, I guess. No, it would be his children had properties there too. Now, I can't confirm that, but that's what I had heard, that there were 3 properties altogether side by side there. Yeah, so Edmond was my great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather, okay. So do you think, so as far as you've learned, you think it's Edmond who started the business, who brought it to its prominence?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and then after his sons joined shortly after, because his eldest son was born in 86. So Edmond would have been 24 at the time when his eldest son was born. He was his second child. So, if he died in 23, so the eldest son would have been 37 from what I gather here. So not that old when the father died and the sons took it over. So I guess they must have had a fairly good training as far as, bringing the business. But at that time when he died, rumor was that he was already a millionaire at the time. From what our understanding is, that was that was the weekend cottage. That was their cottage.
That house? Have you seen a picture of that house?
Yes.
That's not a cottage. That's like that's the White House.
Yeah. No, I know. But they were all Montrealers. And then the weekend they would, or like on Sunday, because in those days you used to work 6 days a week, right? Most of the time, everybody worked 6 days a week, or half a day on Saturday, and they would go and, either with the train or the cars or whatever, and off they went to the country,
So I guess growing up, the story was always that your family had a place in Valois at one time.
Yep.
And the last remaining piece is this chapel, right? Because the house...
Correct, exactly.
I can't remember when... Do you know when the house was demolished? When the...
No, I think one of my uncles may have told me. I can check on that. But I think it's when the land was sold to the Bayview, I think. I think that's when the house must have been demolished.
Well, they used it for a bit. So you said you've seen a picture of the house?
Well, we have a black and white picture. Yeah. It says Résidence de Monsieur Morin and then Valois on the side.
What's amazing is you're talking about an entire generation of baby boomer kids and older who always wondered what that chapel was.
Huh.
I mean, did you ever think of it that way? Just knowing that it's not only a part of your family's history, but it's become a part of the landscape. Like,
yeah, no, actually, no. For us, it was just something that, like we knew that our great grandfather built that, and why he built it. That was the big thing for us. That he made a vow that if his children were spared, and he would build his chapel. That was the story, and there was always a sense of pride in that, knowing that this was there. And I mean, I knew of the story. I don't think I went to the place until much later in my adult life. I mean, I remember taking my kids there, so they were, it took me a long time before going out there to actually go and see it. We knew of the story. We knew of and I think what prompted me to go out there must have been one of those early articles, either in the Gazette or in travel section around Montreal kind of thing. And I think there was one loop, one of the articles that I kept, where they said, look, it's go out in West Island, you'll see this, that, and the other thing. And I went, hey, that's the chapel. So that was the beginning for me to go out there and actually check this place out, because I had never seen it before.
Well, you'd always heard of it. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
How nice was that? I mean, to have been contacted by the descendant of the guy that I did a video about, a guy who died 100 years ago last year, 1923, is incredible. The great-grandson of Edmond Morin, who still lives in this area and who is now a grandfather himself. How many generations? That's his. So this would be his grandson's great-great-great-grandfather built that little white chapel in Valois. So this is 3 things that happened after I completed that video about the chapel. The article in the Gazette, the interview on Mad TV, and of course, getting contacted by the descendants of Edmond Morin, because he wasn't the only one. There was a couple others, but he's the guy that I did the interview with. Now there's a 4th thing. The 4th thing is that because of the chapel, some staff at the Bayview contacted me to see if I would do some kind of promotional videos for them, which I did. And while doing that, someone mentioned to me that Laurie Semantis is actually still alive, the woman who started the Bayview, her and her husband, back in the 50s. And I thought, how incredible is this? Like, to get her perspective on the chapel and what she thought about the chapel when she bought the place. And then, of course, once the Bayview expanded after some time, keeping that chapel, was it still functional? How were they using it? Were they using it for the reasons that it was there? And so I asked if I could do an interview with Mrs. Semantis, and they contacted her, and she agreed to it. So we did another phone call. So again, old-timey radio or podcast, depending on how you want to look at it or listen to it. This is what's about to follow. Now, before I play this, it happened again. I did an interview with someone who had passed away before I had a chance to produce this. So I'm going to dedicate this video to her family. I apologize that I didn't get it out sooner. Hopefully it's better late than never. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm really honored the fact that I got to speak with her before she passed away. I believe she was in her late 90s. So nevertheless, I digress, and here is my interview with Laurie Semantis. Enjoy. So you bought it in 1957.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You were with your husband at the time, or?
Yes, with my husband, yes.
What was his name?
Louis, Louis.
You didn't live in the West Island, did you?
No, we came from Snowden to West Island. We were in Snowden when we bought it.
So what was the story? I mean, were you newlyweds, or and
Well, I had a brother who was a doctor and so was his wife, and they helped us a lot too, to get patients and whatever.
So what were you and Louis doing before you decided to go into this business?
He was a cook, and that's what he did at the Bayview then. He was a cook for the patients.
Your husband was?
Yes.
Oh, so the Bayview was already an establishment?
No, we established it. But when we opened up, he was the cook.
Oh, okay. So because it sounds like a business. For me, because I'm a small business owner, I own a small video production company, and I think I do okay, but opening up a business isn't for everybody. It's kind of scary, no? To one thing to work for someone, and the other thing is to open up a business.
It was scary, but with the help of my brother and his wife, I took a chance. We took a chance.
And so
we were considered one of the best nursing homes.
Is it because that there was a need and someone suggested, we need something in Point Claire?
No. Well, yes, my brother knew that because he had a lot of patients out in Point Claire and they had nowhere to go. I think there was only the bussy and machine that was there.
And so, what's the story of the house? Did you guys go shopping around for different locations?
For the building?
Yes.
No, he had a real estate looking for that. They found it.
Do you remember? Was it under private ownership at the time? Or?
Yes, it was. Mr. I forget his name though, but it should be in that book in Point Claire. His name too, the owner or whether before we bought it.
So the story is that you bought the house, and then you had to.
We renovated it and made it for a nursing home.
Right, renovated it and made it into a nursing home.
Right. A lot of rooms were very big. We made them 2 bedrooms.
I guess you needed more plumbing, to have more sinks and toilets and all that.
The upstairs had 2 washrooms. Downstairs there was only one that we had to manage. Listen, there was a lot of places worse than ours them days.
Oh, I have no doubt. But at that time there were standards though that I'm sure you had to maintain, and inspectors had to come in and check and.
Oh, they came in and checked us, and we got standing ovation for that.
That's great. So when you bought the building, I'm sure you must have noticed that there was a little chapel on the grounds as well. Oh
yes, my husband, who was a religious man, but we were Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox. But he didn't change it. He left it a Catholic, and we had a service there one time too. Only one service they had. They had to get special permission from the Archbishop or something. They didn't want to do it again, so they only had one service.
A Catholic service?
Yes, Catholic service.
Did they come in because there was a church just not far from you, St. John Fisher? I wonder if you came down from there. I'm also Orthodox. My mother's Lebanese Orthodox.
Oh yeah, we're Albanians.
You're Albanian Orthodox. Okay, it's a same service, different language.
Same thing. Well, we're here. My father was here since 1911, but we came in 1930. He brought us all over here in 1930. I was born in Albania.
Oh, really? But your father came in 1911.
He came in the States. He worked in the States for some time, and then he came to Montreal because he had an uncle here who had a restaurant, and he wanted to go into the restaurant business.
Oh, wow. So your family goes far back into Montreal.
Oh, yeah. He was in the American Army, too, but he didn't stay there long because he had sore knees.
So there was never a question to not keep the chapel.
No, but somebody wanted to buy it. A lot of people wanted to buy it, and my husband wouldn't sell it.
Did the city ever want to buy it to make it
not the city. Private people. There was one lady phoned. She said her son was dying, and he wanted the chapel close to his house. And my husband, he felt very bad for it, but he didn't want to sell it. He didn't want to give it away or anything. That was our good luck charm.
That's it. Is it because he felt that it needed to stay where it was originally built?
Where it was, yes.
But for you guys, you only used it once a year.
We only used it once for the service. Because the priest that did it, he said that the archbishop wouldn't give him the authority to do it again, only one. But people used to go and see the chapel inside. It was all beautiful. Till somebody stole it. They came in, they tried to steal the inside, the icons, and I don't know what else.
Oh, it's the Stations of the Cross, maybe?
Yes.
What they have there? Yeah, they don't believe in icons, not like us.
The bell came from the train that Queen Elizabeth was on. It was given to him by one of his friends that worked for CNN.
Oh, you mean to your husband?
He gave it to my husband, and we put it in the chapel, and they tried to steal it many times, but we caught them.
No kidding. Oh, I thought that was done earlier on.
No.
Oh, interesting. So your husband had a friend who worked for CN?
Yes, and he gave him the bell.
So was there a bell before that you had to replace?
Oh, no, there was no bell or nothing there before.
Did the bell ever get rung?
The day that we had the service, they rang the bell.
Oh, wow. So that whole time, there's only been one service. I wonder if they ever had...
The only one service, but the patients used to go inside, though.
Well, so your patients, they wouldn't have been mostly Quebecois, or they would have been Catholic anyways, no?
Yeah, they were, sure. But even Protestants went in, because it was a nice little chapel inside.
Right. And so, do you remember if you and your husband were ever curious about the origins of the chapel?
Well, we knew it was Mr. Moran that built it, because none of his children died during the flu. So that's when he built the chapel, and it was by the waterfront. It wasn't there when he built it. It was by the waterfront.
Really?
Then I don't know who moved it, but when we bought it, it was there.
Oh, interesting. So it would have been on the
the water side.
It was on the south side of Lakeshore.
Right.
Oh, interesting. How did you even think to find out about who the original owner was and who the owner of the chapel was? And
well, I asked my son. He's smarter than I am. He's a lot younger than I am. And he was a grown-up boy when we bought it anyway. We bought it in 57. 56 we bought it. Hey, and then we opened up in 57.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. We'll speak to you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.